Welcome, I'm Peggy O'Neill. Welcome to our session today, How to Have the Body of Commitment. And we're going to be talking about how to assess somatically the commitment that you are. And I'm not misspeaking, I mean that the commitment you are. How to align your body energetically with the commitment that you're ready for. And then how to know if you're probably being experienced as committed. So to know if you're being experienced by another person or a group as committed, or if you're not. All right, so if you're here in person, live, please say hi in the comments. I love knowing you're here. If you, hi Sharon, yay, so glad you're here. If you have any questions or comments throughout, please put them in the chat and the comments, and I will engage with them throughout. And if you're watching this on replay, please put hashtag replay. Again, if you have questions, comments, put it in the comments and I will respond. So Peggy O'Neill, I started this Facebook group, Answering the Call, with the idea in mind that we all listen to that invitation, that we answer that call, that longing that most of us have, that there's something more to life, there's something I'm here to do, something is calling to me. It's that sense of being unsettled in our life. I don't mean unsettled because of a circumstance in our life, but just this, like something's missing. And then second, once we have followed that call and recognized that what that call was to actually know who we truly are our essential nature, this one being that we are, then second, okay, how do I want to express that in the world? My unique expression of this one being. So that's what we're always doing here. Thank you again for joining us. So today, how to have the body of commitment. So first, how to assess somatically the commitment you are. So what I mean by the commitment that you are, so we say things often, we have a commitment, or we even say, I have a body. And yet the commitment isn't separate from us. Our body isn't separate from us. We don't have a commitment. We either are committed or we're not committed. There's no judgment there. We either are committed or we're not committed. And so that's it. So how do we assess whether we are or that we aren't? Now, one thing, and I'm going to back up a little bit. One thing we can always count on is we can tell what we're committed to based on what's going on in our life. Now, sometimes people hear that and they start judging themselves. Oh, I must be responsible. Oh, I've done something wrong. Or could be great, I created this. Or it could be an arrogance around it. Yeah, I created this. I'm, hot stuff. So, as we know, we're being lived. We're being lived. The universe is expressing through us as it, but through us as us at all times. So it's not a separate self that is a commitment, but it's the commitment that we're living. And when we observe the commitment that we are, the commitment that we're living, then it can come to us to do something different if there's something different for us to do. So there's no person to be responsible in the way that we normally take on responsibility, that I have to judge myself. And yet it's knowing that there's only me. I'm all that exists. I'm all that is. So it can be a little confusing if you haven't been with us for a while or if you haven't studied non-duality. But even if you know nothing about non-duality, here's another way that you can hear this. Is that the same thing, but without the non-duality responsibility part in that context, which is that, again, I always know what I'm committed to based on what's going on in my life, but that I don't need to judge myself because I couldn't have done anything any differently given how I understand the world, myself, what's happening. None of us can ever do anything other than what's occurred. So there's no reason to judge. So please don't take that in with you as we move forward. Okay, I'm going to set all that aside and stay with this conversation. So So how to assess somatically? So we can tell maybe what's in our life, what we're committed to, but then how do we assess whether I'm showing up as the commitment that I want to be showing up as? So I can check with what's happening with my body. So if I'm sitting over real slouchy, does that seem like a commitment? It's a commitment to slouchiness. So it depends. If I'm committed to slouchiness, yeah, this is the body that represents that. Okay. But if I'm committed to being seen, to action, to determination, then is my body representing that commitment? Am I? So we can check in by just how we're holding our body, and then also what's the experience. What does it feel like? This body. Does it feel energized? Does it feel slouchy? Does it feel lazy? Does it feel I don't care? So you check in with, do I feel lethargic, or do I feel alive and dynamic, strong, energized, ready to take on the world? So it depends on the commitment that we are in that moment, the commitment that we're being invited to by what's in front of us. And yes, sometimes, of course, we're committed to being relaxed and maybe slouchy, not in the slouchy, lethargic way, but in the it's time to relax. Does my body relax? So let me see if there are any questions or comments about that piece so far. Okay, no. All right, now, so the next piece. So how to align your body energetically with the commitment that you're ready for. Okay, so let's say you're about to make a presentation. So you check in really basically with everything I just said. So what am I experiencing? Am I experiencing whatever is in alignment with how I want to be and how I want the experience to come across and what I want other people to experience in this presentation, or maybe I'm acting in a play, or I'm about to have a conversation with my intimate partner or with a boss. What's the energy that's going to support the conversation that I have and how I'd like to be seen by them, and check in. Do I feel that here? Because if I don't feel it over here, it's almost impossible that they're going to feel it over there. I'm sure that makes sense, especially one being. But even if we're not into non-duality, that I think most people do know that we influence each other, and we can feel somebody when they walk in the room. We can feel, whether there's energy there, or depression there, or happiness there, if we're paying attention. So we know that happens, that we can kind of feel each other's energy. So you just feel with yourself. You can also look in the mirror. So sometimes we can feel with our eyes closed or without looking in the mirror, and we feel like we look a certain way, and then we get in front of the mirror and go, oh, I don't look quite the way I did. I mean, I've done a lot of public speaking in my life, and finally I got myself to start getting ready in front of a mirror and practicing in front of a mirror, and I go, oh, I don't look quite the way that I thought I did as I was standing there and talking. And so it's very useful to get in front of a mirror and look, and practice whatever it is you're going to say, and look, does that look like how I'd really like to be coming across? And then that helps you. That's a good. That's just what it is. It's a reflection. It's a good mirror of how what am I coming across? How am I coming across? How am I holding my body? How am I moving my arms? I was attended a meeting last week. I'm on the Clinton House Museum board, and some students had been asked to present ideas for us to market the services that are available at the Clinton House. And there were two groups of kids, and even though they were young, their early 20s, I was a little surprised though that most of them showed up really timidly at the front of the room. So I thought, was it because they're so young? But I think somebody said maybe it's because young people especially, are so used to being with their phones, and with COVID, there were more people are used to being alone a lot. So, but they weren't showing up in a professional way. A lot of them, some of them were, but a lot of them weren't. And so I really felt for them. So it's important to ask ourselves if our body is showing up in the way that's going to most effectively um, offer or presence what it is I really want to be presencing. Also, you can watch others that and start observing how does this other person show up when they're talking, and so that you can see what it looks like to show up as committed, or what it looks like to not, where you can tell that, like, well, sorry, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, aren't I? We're always committed to something, but and we can see it in how we show up, or how other people. And when we look at other people. And so, yeah, so what I meant by, you can, are they committed? I meant, are they showing up aligned with what they're trying to talk about in a somatic, energetic way? So you can watch and observe. That gives you insights into what it looks like to show up committed and enthusiastic about it, or to show up kind of lethargic and you're just talking about something and it's nice. And there are times when all of those are appropriate, but we want to be asking ourselves, what is the body alignment that's going to most support what I'm committed to today? But so in watching others, we learn about how people come across and what works and what doesn't work. And we can actually say one thing and show up in another way. So a lot of people talk a lot about just acting, just do things and leave out this element that we're talking about right now, our way of being, how we're coming across, our somatically and energetically. And yet we can be doing the right thing and not at all making the impression or making the difference that we really want to. So let's say, for example, that I work in a department store and I've been asked to greet people. Okay, so I could be standing at the door with my arms crossed and go, "Welcome, so glad that you are here." Okay, I said the right words, but it's not the message probably the organization wants me to deliver. Or I could say, "Welcome, so glad you're here." Same exact words. I did the same thing with my words, but it comes across totally differently. So again, we want to be aware and ask ourselves, am I aligned with my body energetically, with the commitment that I say that I'm up to, that I'm ready for in this moment? Okay, now I'll see if there are any comments or questions from any of that. Sharon, yes. Even if I'm not paying attention to my body, I'm still presenting whatever I'm feeling. Exactly, Sharon, exactly. So that's one of the reasons that, of course, we're having this conversation, is many people aren't really aware of what you just said, that we're just not taught to think in the way that we're looking at right now. This is the body language that is taught in communication. My body will speak whatever I'm feeling. Yes, that's exactly right. So, and I love how you said that. My body will speak whatever I'm feeling. So I need to align my presentation with what I really want to communicate. Yeah, exactly. Be thinking about it ahead of time, and then paying attention throughout my communication, just checking in. And yes, it's awkward at first if you've never done this before, but you get used to it before too long. You just kind of check in, am I still showing up? And the next aspect of this will help you to notice whether you're still showing up the way you thought you would. So the third part is how to know if you're probably being experienced as committed to what you've been saying you're committed to. So I say probably being experienced, because we never really know what somebody else's experience is, ever. We can ask them, and if they are effective at knowing their experience and communicating it, then we would have a good idea. But we can't ever know what somebody else is experiencing, again, unless they share it with us. So that's why I say probably being experienced as committed to what you're trying to communicate or convey. So how do you know, or as best you can, is how are they being with you. So, like, are they starting to look at their phones? Okay, you've lost them. Are they are they sitting like they're continuing to be real slouched, but you're thinking you're full of energy? That may be giving you some information. It's called reading the room. Reading the room. What's happening over there? Are they staying attentive? Are they looking away a lot? Are they looking at their watches, their phones, and so on? um, Again, do you have their attention? And then also, how are they talking with you? Like, is there talking just kind of neutral and not engaged? Well, that might tell you a lot of things, but it could be that they're trying to engage, but or trying to be attentive, but maybe they're not fully in with you. Because if you want to be real energized and be excited, then the way they talk to you should somewhat align with that. If you're coming across that way, there should be some sort of feeling of interest and some level of excitement. They're not going to be as excited as you are, probably. They could be, but you're not looking to see, is it exactly matching, but is there a level of that present? If there's not, what you can do about it, you can shift your energy in the moment. I mean, and you get better at that over time too, because there are plenty of times I've led workshops and I've realized, oh my gosh, my energy's totally off. I've got to really up my ante right now. So you just notice it, and then you just shift your energy, and by paying attention the way we're talking about today, then it helps you just in a regular conversation with a friend or with a loved one, that you can notice that during that time and practice shifting when it maybe isn't at the level of importance of, well, maybe an important, an intense conversation with a loved one or a presentation at work. So you can practice this in situations that don't seem as important. I'll put it that way. Anyway, so watching how other people are, how they're responding, and then how they're interacting with you, and how you feel. So I'm repeating something I said earlier. How you feel, that's going to tell you probably how they feel. So if you're feeling bored in your conversation, I promise you, they are very bored. So unless they're getting entertained by your boredom, but sorry. But yeah. So you want to be cognizant of the experience that you are, and whether that aligns with your message, with the relationships you want to have, with how you want to be seen. And I'll see if there are any more comments, or if there are any questions. Okay, so I'm going to review this quickly. So we said that we're focusing on how to have the body of commitment. And like I said, we're always committed to something, but really what I mean here today is the commitment that you're wanting to make at a particular moment in time. The commitment that you think you're being or trying to be at any given point in time. So you can assess somatically by just checking in what you're feeling. Does that match what you're up to? And if you're challenged by this, then you want to be making sure that you're taking care of your body. Like, are you exercising? Are you moving quickly or slowing down? I once had a client, an executive in a business in Canada, and he was always rushing through the office, and he was wondering why people didn't talk to him, and why he didn't get more engagement with people. And so as we explored that, I found out that he walked through the office very quickly, always trying to get somewhere. So in order to slow himself down in the way he talked and was with people, and be able to build relationships more effectively, he actually slowed down his walking in the office so that his body could slow down, so he could be present with the people that he wanted to be present with. So there are things that we can do with our bodies to help our body align with what it is that we say that we're up to. So you can think about that. Yeah, what would it take for my body to speed up, to slow down, to relax, all kinds of things. And then how to align your body energetically with the commitment that you're ready for. Again, practice, pay attention to what it feels like in your body, watch yourself in front of a mirror, um, watch how others respond to you. But then that piece of it is similar to how to know if you're being experienced as the commitment that you say you are in that moment, is how are others in their somatic as well as how they're speaking with you. Are their bodies matching your energy or somewhat? They're not going to quite match that, but they, the energy, can you see that there's some level of some resonance with how their bodies are showing up, as well as how they talk with you, look at you, and so on. So that's how you can tell how other people are responding. So I'll see if Sharon has any other comments or if there are any questions. All right. So that is it. And most of us have not been taught any of this. Sharon, it looks like has, and some people of us, some people of us, some of us have had some training, but a great many people, this is new news, to think about how, if our bodies are showing up in alignment with what it is we say that we're up to. I'll give you one more example. I worked with an executive in an international company, and I met with him in person, and he was surprised that his team wasn't more energized and coming up with new ideas and creative. They were paid very well. It was a good company to work for. He was a great guy. And what had happened is the previous manager had not been a very nice person. So he came in going, okay, I'm not going to be the not nice person. I'm going to be the really nice person. But in doing that, he created a too relaxed atmosphere. So when I met with him, he was seated at a desk, and he was seated like laid back in a chair like this, leaning way back and just real relaxed. And so I asked him, I said, is that how you sit in meetings? And he said, yeah, and he explained the reasons that I just gave you. And I said, well, that's one of the reasons, because you're showing up like it doesn't really matter, lethargic, got all the time in the world, we're just hanging out. So they're gonna respond in kind, because you're the boss. You're the leader here. And so he got it immediately. I mean, people get this really quickly. So he started showing up really differently, and sure enough, it turned around. Yeah, there were other things to do too, and he did start going to the gym, and there were other conversations to be had and so on. But just from a somatic standpoint, his message was totally out of alignment with what he said and thought he was committed to. So, so we can tend to this. We can have much more fun with this, fun with other people, and helps us live the commitment that we say we are by adding this element to it. We don't, it can help us not be as frustrated, like, why aren't I getting what I want with somebody, or why isn't the team working better, or why do people respond to my requests a certain way, and so on. So this is another component for you to check in and assess whether that's what's off when you think you're totally aligned and committed with what you think you're committed to. Sharon, I find that when my body is communicating who I am and what I feel, the other person usually responds in kind. If I smile at someone, they will smile in return. So true, Sharon. So true. Yeah, when I first learned this, I'd be jogging down the street and notice the different ways I said hi. I thought, I'm going to try this out. And if I said hi a certain way, it didn't always happen this way, but if I said hi in kind of a downer way, the person would say hi in kind of a downer way. If I said hi in a real energized way, they'd say hi in a real... It doesn't always happen that way, but I did find, I thought, this is fascinating. It's exactly what you're saying, Sharon, that we tend to align, match, approximately match. That's what they say in neurolinguistic programming. Approximately match the other person's body language, tone of voice, rate of speed, and that sort of thing. So thank you, Sharon, for helping us expand on this conversation today, and for being here. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day.